Contributor and radio host Bob Sully Sullivan. Good to see you, Sully. How are you? What do you make of all this?
Logan. Fingers crossed we get the economy open sooner than later, but you have to remember this isn't a political decision. This is a medical decision, and it's also an economic decision. So, at some point you need to realize that perhaps potentially the economic cure is worse than the reason that you implemented in the first. We had this economy that was singing right along. We had a bullet train of an economy. We had employment that was at 54-year lows. We had inflation that was 1.8%. We had a GDP, and you always hear me say that the GDP is the card to our economy. Our GDP was Reagan-esque, and we drove that bullet train into a brick wall because we had to in order to flatten that curve as we talked about. So what's going to be interesting is I think you're going to see the stock market take a V-shaped recovery, and you're sort of witnessing part of that now. I'm not convinced that the worst is over there, but if you consider that for the last 12 months, as bad as the S&P has done this year, we're only down 2% over the last 12 months. The economy, on the other hand, is going to be different. It's not going to be like flipping a switch. I mean, keep in mind, Logan, you got, 67% of all restaurants in San Diego are closed. I don't think 67% of restaurants are going to open. There's going to be some attrition.
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes I wonder, even if they do open, and maybe if some of them open with half the capacity, are people still going to be too nervous to go out to them, even if they are open? Sully, the president talking about putting together a new team of experts: Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson. He's got Larry Kudlow, as you know, White House economic advisor, and Mark Meadows is expected to chair this effort. He's the new White House Chief of Staff. What do you think about that team, and what can that team offer as we try to move forward here?
Well, keep in mind, it's called the Great American Economic Revival Industry Group. It's a big name, but again, it's the Great American Economic Revival Industry Group. And it's as you mentioned, 50 executive leaders from agricultural to defense to financial services, as well as leaders from unions and professional sports and think tanks and such. And you got guys like Apple